friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a card using Waffle Flower Grow Happiness and the Echo Park Celebrate Autumn 6x6 pattern paper pad. So before I get started with the coloring, I wanted to flip through my pattern paper and choose what I'm going to use as my base print. That way I can color to match. This is something that I do for every card and every video that I do. I just usually have it off to the side, but I thought I would go ahead and share it in today's video. Normally I leave it out just to save time for you guys so the video doesn't get too long, but if this is something that you find helpful, let me know and I can include it in more videos. So I have my Copic color chart there that I'm going to have off to my right hand side throughout the coloring portion, and I can refer back to that so that I can choose my color palettes. So I'm starting with my little mouse, and for her I'm using E50, E51, and E53. I'm starting with my E53 since this is such a small image. I'm going to be coloring darkest to lightest. So I'm adding some shadowed areas towards the back of her head and around her cheek and on the underside of her arms and at the top of her legs where her little shorts would be casting a shadow. And then I'm going to blend out with the E51 and then finish with the E50. This is also a good combination for skin tones, but if you're a little bit heavier handed with the E53, it's also a nice pale brown for a mouse. So I just added a little bit more of that E53 because it was looking a little bit too much like skin, and I definitely want her to be a mouse and not a person. So I just amped up the shadows and kind of added a little bit more of that, although certainly you could use this for a darker tan skin tone as well. So then I'm going to do her ears, again just adding that E53 and then blending with the E51 and then finishing with the E50 as the highlight, and then I will go back again with that E53 and add a little bit more depth to those shadowed areas. Next I'm going to bring in RV10 and RV11 and color in the inside of her ear and also give her a rosy cheek. So I'm starting with the RV11 toward the bottom and then blending upward with the RV10. And even though this color isn't in the pattern paper, it's going to have that same kind of dusty fall color, so it's a good combination. For her shorts, I'm using BG72, BG75, and BG78. And this is a nice kind of muted turquoise color. So I'm using the BG78 right up under the hem of her shirt and then blending down with the BG75 and then finishing with the BG72. For her shirt, I'm using R46, R56, and R59. And I'm starting with the R59 under her head and casting a shadow there, also on the edge of her sleeve and under her arm. And I will also be coloring the little heart on the watering can with this same combination and the hat band. So now I'm blending with the R56 and just bringing that color out. The R59 is quite a dark color, so I want to make sure to really blend out the edge of that so there's no harsh lines. And then I'm going to fill in all the area that I left with the R46, which is a nice bright red. Kind of just brings it all together. I knew that I would be using craft cardstock as my card base, and I wanted to incorporate that somewhere on the coloring. So I'm using E40, E41, and E43 to color in her hat, and started with the E43 and then blended upward with the E41, and then the E40 is for the highlight on the top of her head. I added a bit more of that E43, but it wasn't quite dark enough, so I also brought in the E44 and then just blended that out as well. Normally when I'm coloring something gray, I use cool tones for inanimate objects and warm tones for living things. But since the majority of this card is kind of a warmer toned card, I decided to just stick with that same palette. So I'm using the warm grays for my watering can. I'm using W1, W3, and W5. And I'm shading mostly on the left hand side so it matches the direction of the mouse. but I did add a little bit of shadow down the right hand side just to give it that rounded appearance that just helps it look like it's got a shape to it and it's not just a flat image. So even though this is technically a spring themed stamp set, I wanted to use it for a fall card today because I was completely inspired by this gorgeous field of sunflowers that is on the corner of the next street over from my house. So every single day when I go to work or go to the store or anything, I pass this massive sunflower field, and it is so beautiful. No matter how bad you're feeling or what kind of a day you're having, when you pass that field of sunflowers, your spirit just lifts, and it's just gorgeous. So that's what I wanted to recreate on my card today. So I'm going to be coloring these all to look like sunflowers, even though they're not exactly the shape of a sunflower, but I'm taking a little liberty, and they are tall, so that helps. So I'm going to color all the leaves with YG61, YG63, and YG67. I just did the one and then I skipped over the rest to save some time in the video. And then I did the little kind of leaf cluster with G28. For the centers of my flowers, I'm using E44, E47, and E49. Starting with the E49, I did kind of like a C shape on the left hand side, and then I'm blending upward with the other two shades. I did go back in with my darkest color and do a little bit of dot detail to look like the seeds. And then for the actual flower petals, I'm doing two different combinations. The first one is Y13, Y15, and Y17. And I started with the Y17 in the center because I want it to look a little bit concave, and that way the darkest would be in the center and the light would hit on the petals because they're more outstretched. So I'm just blending outward with the Y15 and then the Y13 to the tips. And then I went back in a little bit with the Y17 and flicked that color to make it look more like petals and blended that out with the Y15 again. The other combo I'm using for the flowers is Y15, Y17, and YR04. So I'm adding an orange into the mix just to change things up and add a little bit more variety into my field of sunflowers. And it's also going to help it match the pattern paper better. And now I'll trim all these out with the matching dies. For my focal panel, I've trimmed down some cardstock using the Lawn Fawn outside in stitch rectangle stackables and also the simple stitched hillside borders. So I've got a light aqua that will be the sky and two shades of brown that are going to make up my field. I'm going to set the back panel and the darker brown aside and pop the craft cardstock hill into my Misty so that I can stamp my sentiment. I'm using Lawn Fawn's walnut ink to stamp out the Grow Happiness sentiment and also the two little leaf flourishes on either side. Before I put my Misty away, I also want to stamp on the inside of my card, and for that I'm using the other little mouse holding the bouquet of flowers and the additional sentiment that says plant dreams and a little heart. I'm ready to assemble my focal panel, so I'm first going to take the craft cardstock hill and glue that down to the bottom of my sky. And I only added my glue towards the bottom because I know that I want to be tucking some of those sunflowers down inside. And I did the same with my darker brown hill. Now I can begin to add my flowers, and I want to make it look like that really full sunflower field. So I'm going to add 3 to the back hill behind the darker brown panel, and then 2 behind the craft panel. I'm also making sure to alternate the color of flower that I use and stagger the heights so that it looks like this is just a snapshot of a larger picture and that there's more beyond what you can see in this little scene. To add even more interest, I wanted to use these 3 little leaves as if they were new growth that's coming up. So I just dabbed a little dot of glue exactly where I wanted them to go, and then I'm just tucking those right in over top. And all that's left to add is my little mouse, which I'm going to tuck into the sentiment so that she's kind of accentuating that and putting her little leg down between the leaf flourish and the word grow. And then I will take the little watering can and glue that down so it's in her hand, so it looks as if she's tending to the sunflower field. Going back to my pattern paper, I've got my base print that I used to do my coloring, and now I'm going to flip through the pad and look for 2 more complementary patterns. So I know from the card design that I've picked out that I'm going to need 3 different kinds of pattern paper. I thought this plaid would be perfect because it really brings out the color of those largest flowers. And then I'm looking for a neutral that's going to complement both, and I thought this gold tone-on-tone would be perfect for that. All 3 of these patterns complement rather than compete with each other, so they're going to work really well. I've trimmed down my pattern papers using the Lawn Fawn outside in stitch rectangle stackables and also the stitch party banners to give the gold pattern that little flag end with the stitching detail. So I'm going to adhere my base print down to my card front, and it's going to give that little bit of an 1/8 inch border around the outside edge that's going to allow that craft cardstock to show through. Next I'm going to adhere the plaid down to the bottom third of the card, and then I'm going to take that little flag banner and adhere that down the center. I've added some foam tape to the back of my focal panel, so I will peel off the release papers and then I'm going to line that up in the center of my card, making sure that I have some of that yellow flag banner poking out from both the top and the bottom. Once I'm sure I have that where I want it, I'll press that down into place. I wanted to add a little bling to the card, so I'm taking some stickles in the shade Mercury Glass and adding a little bit of that to each of the sunflower centers. I'm not going to fill them in completely, I'm just sticking to the bottom left where the darkest shadows are. And if I get a little bit too much, I just push it aside with my fingernail or pick that up with my fingertip because I don't want it to get too heavy-handed. I'm also going to take some crystal stickles and add that to the left side of the heart on the watering can. Last but not least, I'm going to add a couple of sequins down at the bottom right corner. I'm using 1 large brown and 2 small gold sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. So I just added the Ranger Multimedia mat directly to the card where I wanted them to go, and then I'm adding the sequins into the glue using my pick-me-up tool. Then I'll go back to my Mercury Glass stickles and just fill in the centers with a little dot. And that is going to complete our card for today. I'll lift that up to the camera so you can see all that sparkle and shine and give you another peek at the inside. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and my take on the sunflower fields that have brought me so much joy. I hope that now they've brought joy to you as well. And I'll go ahead and insert a couple pictures right here for you so you can check them out for yourselves. You can support my channel by clicking that thumbs up button and letting me know that you liked the video, and you can also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would love to have you. If you want to make sure that my videos always end up in your feed, go ahead and ring that notification bell. If you want to keep watching, here's 2 extra videos I thought you might also enjoy. Hopefully those will tide you over until my next one. Until then, I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye.